Hello, Internet. Wait, no, I've forgotten the whole chain again.
Hello, Internet.
No, I'm doing it.
Do it then.
Fine. Hello, Internet. I'm Firebolt.
And I'm the Orbiter.
And welcome to 80 Days Part 3. Last time, we crossed half the Pacific. And we also solved a murder.
We did.
Very exciting. Also.
And I did some awesome accents.
Yes, as we have.
Is it awesome or awful?
Well, we're going to be crossing America probably at some point, so we'll hear your
Well, goddamn.
diverse range of, well, goddamn. Anyway, yeah, is there anything else?
No, let's play.
Right. It was...
2 words.
Shut the fuck up.
The longest of which has 3 letters in it.
It was as though Honolulu lived in one indrawn breath. A wheeling swathe of sky, white-laced waves, and pristine sand bounded by black volcanic bluffs. The town was entirely hidden behind groves of coconut and eucalyptus. We took a short tour.
Where are we? Honolulu. You look!
What's that?
I don't know.
Great.
I'm trying to...
Said our coach driver, Hila.
Like city folk. I don't know. What do they sound like in Honolulu?
I don't know, I guess like Moana.
I haven't seen Moana.
You haven't seen Moana?
I haven't seen Moana.
That is a sin.
Okay. You haven't seen Coco.
Yeah, but Moana.
Well, I'll watch it. Is it on Sky?
Yeah,
Should we play the game? Come on.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. And what do they look like? I wonder aloud. This is going great.
All bent and crabbed over and with your eyes fixed on the horizon, always in a rush.
He murmured something to his horse, which looks well-fed and high-spirited.
As a young man, I went to San Francisco to make my fortune. I too ran and scrabbled in pursuit of the almighty dollar.
Wait, you're now French. You went from this weird sort of... to
Well,
French.
you fucking do it then. I'll do Passepartout.
No. This is the deal that we made at the
No,
start.
this is the instruction you gave.
Shut the fuck up.
Right, get on with it then.
Deal with it. We are neither running nor scrabbling, I pointed out with affronted dignity, but I had to look away from Hila's calm look. Our adventure thus far had been somewhat harum-scarum. Is that right?
I don't know, because I've never seen that before.
Okay.
Or it could be harem-scarum.
It was growing tiresome, and here we were, with still an ocean and a half to cross.
Do you not wish the freedom to exhale, Passepartout?
The coach driver asked.
To stop running and simply feel the wind upon your face and the sun warming you and the sound of the ocean like a heartbeat?
I will take my moments where I may, Hila, I agreed. A range of pronunciations of this name. I have Hila, and Hila. Anyway. There is peace here. A harmony between land and sea and sky which touches my soul. The coach driver sighed and turned his face up to the endless sky.
A man may find himself here,
He told me.
but only if he wishes it.
I have no idea what you're doing now.
No, nor have I.
He invited us to his home that evening and fed us dough-like poi, never heard of that, and bright flesh slices of orange and guava. And I thought, for once, about peace and purpose instead of the distance yet to travel. My own purpose remained undimmed, but Honolulu was a pause, a moment pulled free of past and future, and containing only the taste of guava and salt-freshened wind. We finished our day in Honolulu with a souvenir, a swirling conch shell, collected from the beach as we walked back to the docks. Great. Ooh, we can sell that in Dallas.
Cool.
I like how it was like, you get a souvenir, just sell that. It's worthless. Right.
Where are we going now?
I think we're gonna try go up to San Francisco area because there were a couple of things that we could sell, particularly in San Pedro. Tomorrow at 9 AM, can we afford that though? That is a good question. How much does it cost? Doesn't actually say. This is brilliant.
Did we not get told that we could have free passage anywhere by that guy?
Maybe. That might be that one. Hang on, what is it? It's a banana boat, and I think he said about a banana boat. So we get free passage on that. High five.
Cool.
for remembering shit. That was a terrible high five. That was a weak high five because I wasn't looking at like anything. Great. Let's go to the market, see what we can get there. Oh, but it's worth a lot in Dallas. Do you want to sell something else here? The battle like worth. That's worth a fair amount in San Francisco where we're going. That's worth nothing.
Okay.
And that's worth. Oh, that's worth a fair amount actually.
Okay.
We'll sell that. We'll put that into our suitcase. We're trying to keep down on the suitcases because some of the transport methods mean that you can only have one suitcase.
Alright.
Or just a limited amount, so having 90 suitcases full of stuff is not good. Also, it's just money-wise, really. We'll have to stay the night in a hotel before we can leave in the morning for San Francisco. Okay. What remained of the day? He's full health, so it doesn't really matter. We'll get some money. Jinx. I helped the kitchen staff to clean, earning £69 in fees and tips. What?
69.
Fees and tips.
What?
Doesn't matter. Anyway, banana boat, we get to go free. Whoop. Free as the wind. Wonder why it's called a banana boat.
Because they transport bananas on them.
Oh, right. Yeah, that would make sense. Well, maybe it might have been like a shape thing, but I'm assuming it is bananas from the looks of this.
Well, it's not like one of those banana boats that you get like in Spanish holiday resorts that people ride on, tugged by a speedboat.
Or like a banana split in a boat. Doesn't matter.
No.
That made more sense in my head.
Or just a yellow boat.
Yeah. Or yellow submarine.
Well, that would be a banana submarine then.
Just fuck off. We boarded a steam barge from Honolulu to San Francisco. The scent of ripe bananas pervaded every plank of decking and bulkhead. A sweet and deliciously rotting odour, which offended my trained senses so greatly that for many months after I could scarcely look a banana in the peel.
Because you do that all the time, don't you? When you're going to eat a banana, you look at it in the peel first.
Well, where else are you going to look at it?
Can we carry on, please?
Let's see what's in the news. Is it Boris Johnson? No. Oh, we've crossed the date line, but we already knew that.
Backwards or forwards? So did we lose a day or gain one?
We gained a day. Yeah? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Arg! That was a bit piratey. Arg! No, it's meant to be French, but I'm not going to. Fine. I'll stick with the arg. Arg! I huffed, attempting to convince my mouth that I ate fried kippers and potatoes at breakfast. Everything smells of bananas. I'm a great actor. Monsieur Fogg replied that he could not smell a thing, which I took to be his queerly English sense of humour at work. Still, if bananas were to be the worst of my troubles aboard this boat, then that would be no bad thing. It's seemingly less eventful than our other half of the Pacific. We'll get some more news, see if there's anything useful.
Definitely a more appealing journey.
Oh right, we just cracked the case. That's just telling. It's just telling us what we've done.
Yeah, we're stars. We are infamous.
Great. I woke in the middle of the night, convinced that someone was in the cabin with me. I stayed very still and listened. There was a long, wave-lapped silence until I heard distinctly a dragging shuffle.
Is it a banana?
I opened my eyes and looked up, my heart beating impossibly loud in my chest. In the darkness, I saw the sheen of a pair of eyes gazing vacantly into the distance.
Be a banana in pyjamas.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Sorry.
Monsieur Fogg.
I cried.
You are not keeping that in. Keep that in. You are not long for this world. If I watch this video and find that, I will find you and slap you.
I don't need to anymore because it's going on the Patreon feed, so...
Fine. Yeah, but they have to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
Monsieur Fogg, I cried, and my midnight visitor blinked and straightened and looked about my cabin in genteel surprise.
What?
He said calmly,
It's like,
pulling his dressing gown close.
am I doing in your cabin, Passepartout?
You would know better than I, monsieur, I exclaimed passionately, rather upturned by his sudden appearance. He took a sharp breath.
It seems that I have been sleepwalking,
He said, his voice almost tremulous.
I have not done so since I was a child. Please accept my apologies.
I feel like this is vaguely sexual.
Yeah.
Sure, let's go with it. Would you like to stay for a while? I asked, sensing his agitation. I am awake after all.
I
He hesitated for a long moment.
would like that. Thank you. Why does it say relations with Fogg have deteriorated slightly?
Well, I'm guessing that was quite a chilling ordeal for him.
He didn't want to wait to stay, did he? He could have said no.
I don't know.
Maybe
People
he
are
felt socially
complicated.
pressurised.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you? Maybe. You should shut up. Captain Kalani was a heavily pregnant Hawaiian woman who found Monsieur Fogg's English accent a source of great mirth.
Say something else!
She demanded over breakfast.
Please, Mr. Fogg.
These are some weird Hawaiian accents. I distracted her with some idle talk, and my master cast me a grateful look.
Oh, surely Moana's just like American accents, isn't it, if it's Disney?
Yeah, but some of them are, like, Hawaiian. Like, Moana herself is and obviously The Rock, but...
What, Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah. All in a day's work for a valet of my unimpeachable caliber. Bum, 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 bum.
Oh, I'm tired.
Really?
Did you just brush his hair for him?
Yeah, that's what a valet does.
You are most diverting, Passepartout.
I awoke to a frantic knocking at my door, and opened it to find Monsieur Fogg actually wringing his hands.
Passepartout!
He said, his breath hitching.
Come quickly!
What is wrong, monsieur? I cried, certain that something truly unspeakable was afoot, and I was not wrong. My master opened the door to his cabin to reveal Captain Kalani, red-faced and moaning upon his bed. Meow. She turned her baleful gaze in our direction.
I'm having my baby early.
She hissed, sweat upon her upper lip.
You must help me.
What should I do? I had intended to ask a question, but it came out more like a shout.
Will one of you hold my bloody hand and the other fetch some blasted water?
She retorted. I glanced at Monsieur Fogg, who said,
I will fetch the water.
and left me to hold Captain Kalani's hand. I feel like that's a bit...
Yeah,
that's
not a
gonna
wise
get us
question to
killed.
ask.
Is the baby's father not aboard? I inquired, grimacing, as she squeezed my fingers so hard I feared I would be left with pulp.
He is at home,
She gasped.
tending the farm. Can we get on?
Monsieur Fogg returned with a bucket of water, but our respite was short-lived. Captain Kalani parted her knees.
One of you must catch the baby. Sorry, she said authoritative. I was being too authoritative.
Just, if it says like a little description, then I don't really need to say it all the time, I don't think.
Okay.
Let's do it together. We did it together. Monsieur Fogg did not trust me not to drop it, and I did not trust Monsieur Fogg not to faint clean away. After an infinitely long, infinitely terrifying interval, which I have not the means to describe, I held a small, squalling, red-faced baby in my arms. I took off my own jacket and wiped the birth fluids from the baby's face, calling it a worthwhile loss. Then I gave it to her. It is a girl, I said into sudden hush. Captain Kalani was sweaty and wild-eyed and utterly exhausted. She held the baby to her chest as though it were an infinitely precious thing. She began to sing to her little girl a song of whales and ocean waves and airships that hung like moons in the sky.
Aww.
San Francisco, here we come. Oh, let's just get a quick conversation in there. See a way forward to San Pedro if we can. Here we go, San Francisco to San Pedro. You can by fishing boat. It's apparently a tiring one. Well, we'll get a lot of money that way, and apparently the Mormon Railway is quite fast, which comes from San Pedro. So I think that's all we really need to know from that conversation. There we go. Little fishing boat trip to San Pedro. Captain Kalani's indisposition the previous day did not delay us in the least. She had a well-trained and loyal crew who seemed to have collectively adopted her little girl as one of her own.
I will call her Jean.
Captain Kalani told us as we tethered at San Francisco.
You are excellent midwives.
I shuddered at the memory. and sincerely hoped I would not be called upon to help in any other berths. Once, my dear friend, was plenty. The name suits her, madam, I said. She will wear it better than I have. I turned towards San Francisco Bay with renewed hope. After all, whatever challenges it offered could scarcely be more taxing than those we had just overcome. Right, making the trip across America.
Can we stop at McDonald's?
Balalaika, we need to sell that. Because it's massive and useless. There we go. Good.
Actually, no, not McDonald's. You can stop at McDonald's here. Let's go to...
We might pass through one of those cities, so we'll get that wax cylinder.
Let's go to an IHOP. I want to go to an IHOP when we go on holiday.
It's now IHOB.
What is it now?
IHOB.
Yeah, but what's the B stand for?
No idea. They changed it to IHOB for some reason.
Why?
No idea.
Is it not pancakes anymore?
I don't know. I think it's burgers now.
Well, that's not an IHOP then.
Well, that is.
It's International House of Pancakes.
Well, it's International House of Burgers now.
I don't think you're telling the truth.
Well, I am. There's been memes about it, so suck it.
International House of Bullshit.
Fuck you too, though. So we could catch a train all the way to New York, quite a long one. Or we could go to San Pedro, sell a few things, and come back with more money, just in case.
Well, we did save some stuff to sell there, didn't we? That was going to be worth a lot there.
Yes. San Francisco seemed less a city and more a ravenous beast bent on consumption of everything, even of itself, with the ever-expanding city limits. Enormous steam-powered drills and diggers flattened hills, straightened roads, reformed neighbourhoods, and dumped the resulting rubble and stone into Mission Bay. I sloped towards recently constructed Long Bridge, which was crowded with families out for a stroll and people fishing for silvery smelt with long poles. In the water was a jangle of rowing boats, racing each other and boatmen taking passengers out to Mission Rock. Cheers and good-natured shouts emitted from a halfway house in the middle of the bridge. I peered at the halfway house and surmised from the revels I saw spilling out of its doors there was some manner of drinking den. A man, red-faced and somewhat worse for drink, bumped into me. Should we excuse ourselves?
Yeah.
I excused myself politely and he made an apology in return, slinging an arm around my shoulders.
Oh, hello.
I think he's meant to be Dutch.
Doesn't matter, he's drunk.
I'm right, he exclaimed.
You don't sound like you're from around here.
Great. You do not sound American either, I retorted.
No matter, I was Dutch once in a past life, but now I am as American as President Grant. This is a land of newcomers. You are a prospector? I'm drunk, I can sound how I like.
You can sound like how you like when you're sober. I am a traveller, I said. I am travelling around the world.
Oh yeah, and I'm a Navajo chief.
I insisted on the truth, sketching out in brief some of my adventures with my master.
What, really?
His eyes widened and he slapped his thigh.
That's incredible.
A brown-skinned woman slipped her arm into his. I looked for an introduction, and the man smiled quickly.
Ah, my manners.
He shook his ruddy face.
I am Anders, and this is my wife, Jenny.
Pleasure to meet you. I kissed her hand. She was surprised, but smiled.
Always a pleasure to meet Anders' friends.
Oh, Jesus Christ. She looked askance in the whiskey flask in his hands, but seemed to find me unobjectionable. I hesitated the obvious question about her origins on the tip of my tongue. I swallowed back the question, though clearly with a visible effort, for she laughed with full-throated pleasure.
I am of the Modoc tribe, what the New Americans call Indians.
She's a Native American, so...
Okay.
You don't have to go like ridiculously high pitch or
I know, but I've got a bit of a throat today.
Great.
I do not mind your surprise. Most of my tribe has been taken to the Klamath Reservation in Oregon. No idea what...
But you are not with them, I observed, realising my faux pas as the words tumbled from my unthinking lips. Jenny sucked in a deep breath. That's a very deep breath.
I left my tribe,
she whispered. Anders squeezed her hand.
I fell in love. In this world, women leave their families for their husbands. I made a home of my choosing, which is much more freedom than my tribe can claim.
Anders whispered something. Shut the fuck up. I don't like your sound effects, they're unnerving. Anders whispered something into Jenny there, and she laughed. Though I feared I had opened an old wound with my prying questions, I nodded and found my way back to Monsieur Fogg, who was sitting drinking tea with a disconsolate frown.
It tastes like soap.
Not unlike your coffee.
Not anymore, I've been rinsing the thing out.
He remarked, but would say no more. Did that get into the edit once?
I think so, yeah.
Roaring hell, where can we go? Well, do you want to go to San Pedro tomorrow?
Yeah, why not? Might as well.
Great.
Some money.
But we'll have to go tomorrow. Hotel?
We'll pass the night here.
I headed towards Chinatown to eat. It was a warren of crowded wooden and brick houses. Temples, businesses, herbalists, laundries, and market stalls selling fruit and flowers. I regarded the people with some interest. Large groups of men stood around smoking, drinking green tea and calling to each other good-naturedly. I felt quite at home. I had travelled around more than half the world after all. What was one more foreignness to such a foreign place as America? I decided to approach an older man in European clothes who offered me a cup of green tea when I introduced myself. Thank you. I breathed in the herbal aroma and gulped the hot tea down quickly. That is most generous. He chuckled and smoothed his crisp shirt.
Many of my friends, they say, Lynn, you talk to foreigners, you wear their clothes, and I say to them, I am American now, and you are too.
He pointed at a young man with his hair in a queue.
Look at him with his old-fashioned hair. There is a law against it here, but he wears it like that, the fool.
What a ridiculous law. But that is your tradition. Why is there a law against it? I asked. It hurts no one, surely.
We must let go of our old culture. We are American now.
But you are Chinese American, I disagreed. Why should you give up everything for the American dream?
Perhaps just as well I didn't know that before.
Yeah, probably. There's a reason we avoided China on this trip. We had to go to Japan, but it was a worthwhile sacrifice in the end. Anyway, we're heading off to San Pedro right now. We went down to the wharf to find a route onwards, but it took us a few attempts to find a sailor who looked sober. Though whether the more grizzled men and women we passed were actually intoxicated or simply windblown and sunswept was hard to say. We settled into a fishing boat, whose name was Salvador, piloted by a Hispanic lady.
I named it after my husband,
she told as she slipped the painter. Slit the painter? Is that a boating term?
Maybe. Is it the thing that you put the rope over to moor it?
She just tripped off a painter at random. It's just constant.
And pushed him out onto the water.
And we pushed out onto the water. It is a fine boat, I told her. She smiled gently, a teary look in the corner of her eye.
He was not a bad man. He did not deserve his fate, senor.
I gulped, but we were too far from the shore to turn back already. Let's tend to Fogg. Just keep his spirits up.
Much appreciated, my Passepartout. I feel most comfortable. He's a lazy bastard, isn't he?
Well, he's an aristocrat, so... The boat scudded through the water, roughly following the sandy coastline and rocky cliffs of the shore. Shall we say... How long have you lived in California?
Yeah, why not?
How long have you lived in California, I asked.
My husband and I came down in the gold rush,
She told me.
I spent every day for a year panning the streams and never found a cent's worth. My husband built a boat and caught fish to feed the other panners, and he made a nice little business out of it.
So you became fishermen?
We did, though there were plenty of other people doing that too. A rush on one thing brings a rush on everything.
She said.
It was a crazy time. People would put up with just about anything because they figured they'd be rich next week. Then when it started to dawn on people they were never going to strike any gold themselves, and here they were. Picture it, a whole country's worth of people losing their hope together.
It's like Brexit.
Yeah.
There are other things to desire than riches, madam.
So says the man with the waxed whiskers and evening jacket.
She shrugged.
But you're right. We were lucky Salvador built the boat when he did.
The second day, Captain Dolores stayed at the tiller through lashing rain that made my position working the jib sail harder. Water slicked the deck and made my fingers icy cold, only for the ropes to burn them as the wind pulled this way and that. More than once I was all but hauled overboard, and it took all my considerable dexterity to remain upright. The storm lasted well into the evening and we lost several hours, but finally the wharf at San Pedro came into view.
We land!
Called Dolores.
Take the tiller!
There was no moment to lose. I raced to the back of the boat just as Captain had already dived overboard, painter in her hand. She was surely lost, but my fears only lasted a moment when her head reappeared, bobbing like a seal's, and with a strong stroke she swam to the shore. I looped the rope through an anchor ring and hauled us in. We docked and secured ourselves with 3 more lines. I got myself and my master ashore, and as fast as could too, and I swore we would never travel with fishermen again. So now San Pedro, we had a few things to sell here. See how much money we can get off that. Okay, the malachite chunk is worth a lot here. And this postcard is worth a lot here. There we go, look at that money.
Wow.
Okay, now I'm just going to move a few things around for simplicity's sake. A lot of these things are saying that we can sell them in Dallas. And then a few other things are saying Chicago, I think. Maybe. Not really. I don't know.
Specific?
Oh, what? Shut the fuck up. I guess we have to take the Mormon Railway. Where is Dallas? Oh, Dallas is there, so it's kind of useless. I can't be arsed with that. So let's just sell that anyway. Do you think?
Okay. I'm pretty sure that next stop said something about arrives next Sunday.
Can't shell 2, that was something. I'll get rid of those anyway because they're pretty useless. And we've narrowed ourselves down to 1 suitcase, good. Just in case. Okay, Mormon Railway to Salt Lake City. Arrives Sunday. That is quite long.
It is.
Oh, it departs in 4 days. But at no charge we can get it to go in 2 days.
Okay.
But maybe it wasn't a good idea to come down here after all for a time limit.
Maybe.
There's still the Black Rose thing. She hasn't contacted us. She said that she was going to contact us about Atlantic Port, but we haven't heard anything yet. Anyway, stay the night.
We'll pass the night here.
We were staying near the wharf, looking out over the rolling Pacific Ocean in the new town area of San Pedro. I stayed with my master, attending to his needs. This town had barely more than a few thousand residents. If I were to go out, I would not doubt be forced to meet all of them, and I doubted they would prove the most stimulating company. And we'll have to explore. Oh, we do have a route down to New Orleans if we wanted it. Yeah, but we sold that stuff already, so... I walked the streets a while, discovering the possibilities for how we might make progress. They might still be in the market. No, great. Oh well. There might be some other worthwhile stuff in the market, but I can't be asked really. Okay. We're not going to Acapulco because that's south and that's kind of useless for us. And tomorrow at noon, oh, we could negotiate that again. No charge at 12. We can leave right now. Great.
Yay!
We left San Pedro on the Salt Lake Railroad. God, railroad is a horrible word. Bound for Salt Lake City. The line was peculiar in that it was entirely owned and staffed by Mormons. So there was no tea aboard, and even asking for some was gently if firmly frowned upon.
This'll be a 3-day run.
The guard informed us.
With a brief stop in the middle of the town of Las Vegas.
A nice place.
It's in the middle of the most severe desert in the western states. But there's water in Las Vegas, so that makes it a paradise.
We'll read the news. Again, the news is just shit. It's just saying, oh, look at what you're doing. It's like, I already know what I'm doing, mate. Tell me about ways to move forward. But I think we've run out of those. I passed the first day out of San Pedro in conversation, hoping to find options for our next journey. I fell in with a remarkably frenetic Chinese soldier, oh dear, whom I quickly abandoned as knowing nothing. Good. I woke in the night with a start. Someone was in my room. The Black Rose had returned once more.
Oh.
Oof.
Oh.
Oof. Don't know what we're doing.
No.
I stayed in bed, hoping she would leave me to sleep. Nothing stirred, and all was silent.
Oh.
Why are you laughing?
I was just being rude.
I sat up and turned on the light, but there was no one there. I was quite alone, shivering under my thin sheets, but I was more certain than ever that the rose would return to haunt me soon enough. I feel like this diversion wasn't really worth it. Like £1,000, maybe it was.
That's true.
The train stopped at the tiny outpost of Las Vegas to refill the water tank and for the passengers to have breakfast. A more curious oasis I have never seen. In the empty desert, this valley was not only fertile, but lush, and as thick with vineyards as the fields of southern France. Although the wine itself was rather poor, and I managed only a half glass before I was forced to put it down once more. There were also melons, pink beans, and the usual array of cereal crops.
Can't be a pink bean.
It was a triumph of hubris and will almost certainly disappear into the dust once more in the next 50 years. The proprietor of this island in the sea of sand was one Octavius D. Gas, that's a fun name, who had his headquarters in a rundown fort. But I was not interested in this Victor Frankenstein character. I attended to my master in the shade until such a time as we departed once more. There are a few other signs of development, a collection of outlets and watering holes for travellers passing through. Perhaps in a few years' time there will be a small hotel here.
Maybe even some slight entertainments.
To occupy the long, cool evening. Such were my thoughts, and then the train whistled blue and we were on our way once more. We don't really need to tend to fog. News again. Ooh, there are apparently riots in Chinatown. But we've passed there, so it doesn't really matter.
Oh, we're getting to Salt Lake City at last.
Great. We'll have a quick conversation, but I don't think it'll be worth much. Since it is just with him, so... Salt Lake City, let's see what we can learn about that. It's a Mormon colony. Great. About the journey. Just the wager. This is useless. We'll just go to Salt Lake City. On the third day, the atmosphere of our train was beginning to feel oppressive, and I stayed at the rail of the observation car, watching the endless desert roll past, wondering how anyone would ever cross this desolate plain. Apparently, the rails followed the rough path of the old Spanish trail, taken by the first European settlers to discover the Californian coast, who must have been tenacious types to overcome such hardship in pursuit of a homeland. Did it take away from their achievement and loss now that a railroad existed, or was it a monument to their endeavour? My thoughts interrupted by the whistle blow, as the engines were emptied and we began to break into the station at Salt Lake City.
I want to go home.
Let's explore.
Pardon me.
Great, we just found a route to Albuquerque. The train stopped at Ogden, but the trip to Salt Lake City was a brief jaunt along a branched road. The land around was well cultivated, with large ranches and wild fields of wheat and corn bordered by hedges of wild road and clumps of acacias. For a Mormon colony, I was surprised by the lack of churches, but a few large buildings stood: an arsenal, a courthouse, and the half-built central temple itself. I knew little of the Mormon faiths, but was naturally intrigued by their polygamy. How would such a society function? I could not imagine it, but I learned a few answers in my meanderings about the town. Groups of ladies stood about talking, dressed in open silk skirts and hoods or modest shawls. But if any one group represented a family unit or mere group of friends, it was impossible to tell a group at a glance. After a while, I began to wonder how the Mormons might view Parisians with their culture of monogamous marriage and furious anger at the rather common practice of adultery. Eventually, I grew tired of this culture that refused to demonstrate its differences, so I returned to the cafe where Fogg waited. Okay, we're probably going to want to go straight to New York.
Yeah.
If we can. 5 PM tomorrow. That sounds alright. To stay night. As I sat in the downstairs room of our hotel, looking out across the plains and enjoying the moment of silence in this peaceful town, I was approached by a young lady with a wry smile.
Oh, sorry. What is she? May I join you?
American, I'm assuming. By all means, I answered. She smiled and slid into the seat opposite.
I heard you're a traveller. I heard that you're going around the world.
We are endeavouring to circumnavigate in 80 days, I told her. Or less.
Really?
She grinned.
And how many days have you taken so far?
I told her, and she widened her eyes.
A whole 53 days of travelling?
She replied.
You must be tiring of it, surely.
Not at all, mademoiselle. The journey is invigorating, I exclaimed. She sighed with a smile.
I'm glad to hear that, monsieur. I myself would love to travel, but I cannot leave the Salt Lake. What my family are doing here and what they are building, it's too important. It needs every hand and every heart to make it fly. But if all else were different, then why, I would hang on to your coattails like a shot, monsieur, and ask you to show me the shores of Europe.
When you are old, such a trip will be a matter of a short holiday, I assured her. In 50 years' time, a journey like mine will seem quaint.
I'm already too old for fairy stories,
she replied.
But perhaps you will be proved right. Perhaps one day people like me will travel all over the world, spreading our good word.
The evening was wearing on. The young lady rose and bid me farewell and bon voyage. I watched her go with some relief. Her gaze had been rather too penetrating. Right, let's go to New York. Hopefully it doesn't take too long.
Transcontinental Express.
From there, I think you can go straight to London, but it's quite expensive, so we might have to hop over to Iceland first, and then to London. We boarded the Transcontinental Express at Salt Lake City for the long journey eastward across the continent. Get some news again. Mormon temple to be completed within 50 years, at least. We were just there, so meh.
I'm sure we're going to make it within the 80 days, aren't we?
Probably. Today, a fellow with a painfully trimmed mustache and impeccable suit approached me outside the laboratory. We could get massively delayed at some point on this journey and not make it. Weirder things have happened. I nodded at him companionably, and his thin lips parted in a contained grin.
I am Felix Granger,
he said.
You are a puzzle.
I love this word. I was utterly flummoxed. I? A puzzle? I repeated in consternation. Monsieur, I am a simple man whose past is an open book.
Oh no. Do tell me how you came to be on the Transcontinental. Thereby hangs a tale I can tell, good sir.
He was merely interested in me and my adventures, and I saw no reason not to enlighten him in great detail. His eyebrows raised higher and higher during my recitation.
Then this is your first time in America?
Oh yes.
Well.
A very strange place, you will allow, monsieur.
Did I say well?
I've no idea. He seemed surprised.
Are we so strange?
He stroked his trim mustache.
Maybe we are at that, by God.
Just occasionally hear me muttering under my breath, Jesus Christ.
Are you getting religion?
No. The Blowitz reports Austro-Hungary, Jesus Christ. Austro-Hungary readying for war. Where's Cheyenne?
Just there.
Fuck off. We stopped at Wyoming. All the memes. That's like the smallest state, I think.
Is it?
In population, I think. We stopped at Cheyenne, Wyoming for a few hours in the evening. The trimmed mustache fellow disembarked to talk with a 6-foot-tall woman who wore the latest slim trained skirts and a pistol tucked into her waistband. We watched, none the wiser. At luncheon, I asked one of the women homesteaders, who informed me that she was Esther Hobart Morris, a justice of the peace, and indeed the first one in America, she sniffed. Honestly, some women, what's wrong with being a wife and a mother, I ask you? The trimmed mustache fellow boarded the train again before the last whistle blew, his face drawn and anxious. I feel like her character might be a bit sexist.
They seek her here, they seek her there.
Again, Black Rose, but she apparently came into our room, but nothing happened. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Something's bound to happen at some point, because
I don't know.
it's obviously a major plot thing.
Yeah, but I tried this once and she just said, I don't know. She didn't actually tell me at any point.
Okay.
I had to Google it and then it still didn't work. We were held up by outlaws. They dragged tree trunks over the line and forced the train to a halt before boarding, brandishing pistols and sabers. They went carriage to carriage, demanding valuables. I looked at my master, who had a certain glint in his eye. I did not doubt that he wished. What should we do? Let's resist them.
Yeah.
We might die, but who cares? To resist the outlaws' demands, being a man with the deepest respect for the law. The lead bandit fired his gun into the air.
The name
He declared.
is Jesse James. Now you give me everything you got.
The saber lifted to my throat. I handed over my wallet. What else could I do? Monsieur James smiled a toothy smile and tossed me £10 back in return.
Buy yourself new shoes with that.
He said as he proceeded to also steal my shoes. The saber point moved on. Now it was at Monsieur Fogg's neck.
What about you? You look good for it.
I stayed silent, allowing my master to handle the threat however he saw fit. Monsieur Fogg cleared his throat.
I would trouble you to lower your sword,
He said. I could stay quiet no longer. He is my gentleman, I declared. I carry his possessions for him.
Is that so?
The outlaw declared with interest.
So I should technically be taking from you twice, should I?
There was no other option. I hit him. Not a heavy punch, but enough to send him reeling a touch, and then Monsieur Fogg, with a swoop, battered him over the head with a trunk and threw the man out of our carriage. Through the window, I saw him being picked up by a group of rather surprised soldiers who waved a thank you. Then the steam engine restarted, and we were soon on our way, not much worse for wear, although our valuables were impounded as evidence. We did not have time to wait for the case to come to trial, but the officers compensated us a little to the tune of £449. A kind fellow passenger gave me a spare pair of shoes, and a few hours later we reached Burlington. Several passengers disembarked, clearly grateful to be off this dangerous train. We've lost a lot of our money from San Pedro, so that might have been useless after all.
Oh, great.
Oh well. To Chicago next. Today the entire train was quite subdued, recovering from the hold-up and recounting our individual experiences of the event. I listened with great interest to other tales of small resistances. Indeed, if one were so inclined, one could find heroism in the most unlikely of places. Mysterious French Room catches my choice. Again, it's just telling us what we've already done. I should just stop using that, it's quite useless. But we are nearly, well, there's still a fair stretch to New York, but we'll be in New York by the end of the episode at least. The train rumbled along towards the East Coast. I began to discuss with other passengers how we might depart from New York. It seemed there had been a steamer to Queenstown in Ireland, but it had been run out of business by an airship company, which now made the same 80-day crossing in 8-day crossing. I hope it's not 80-day crossing. I thanked my informant and went to return to Monsieur Fogg, only catching a brief mutter of something as I walked away. Was there a catch? If so, I did not hear it.
Okay.
Right, so we've got... Where's that going? Straight to London, but I think that is pretty expensive. We arrived late in the afternoon rather than morning, owing to the delay caused by the hold-up. I felt a touch of fear as we disembarked. This was New York, and no place for a fine gentleman such as Monsieur Fogg. A city of glory, corruption, greed, and industry, a jungle far more deadly than those of the dark tropics through which we had passed. Right. Can we... Just out of interest, how much does that cost? 5,300. Yeah, I don't think we're making that.
How much?
5,300. Actually, I'll see what we can do in a bank tomorrow, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, this sells for a fair amount here. Well, that'll go towards something. And I doubt we'll need that Caribbean timetable. This stuff is useful still, though. We'll have to stay the day in the hotel, though. I was pickpocketed in New York. I seized the thief's hand, still in my pocket. You tangled with the wrong Frenchman, I exclaimed in triumph. The little thief looked up to me with fixed last eyes. I realised blatantly that I was a young girl, barely 10. I released my grip slightly and she took the opportunity to curse in a thick Irish accent. Feck! And bite me. I held on despite the inconvenience and finally she grinned at me, teeth stained dark red. Are you done, little vampire?
For now.
Cheap girl muttered.
What's it to you?
I looked down at my bloody arm. Truly it was a salutary lesson not to let my guard down in strange climes. Don't steal again, I commanded sternly as she returned my possessions. She agreed she would not. Not ever again, cross her heart, though her expression was shifty. I relaxed my grip and she slithered away and lost herself in crowd. I made my way back to the hotel before anything more untoward could befall my person.
I don't think that was too bad an accent, actually.
We'll explore. Here we go. Right, so we have a route to like Canada and that, but I don't think that's that useful. And a route up to Iceland, as I previously said. Just speed that along. There we go. I struck up a few conversations here and there, hunting for options for how we might proceed. So we could technically depart today if we have enough money for Iceland. We can't afford the London trip. We can afford that. Do you want to go on that?
If you don't think we can get enough from the bank tomorrow. It's 11 o'clock now. The bank should be open.
I'll quickly check the bank. But we will have to remove all our possessions for that, I think. Monsieur Fogg looked quite resolved.
We must once again make a demand upon the bank, I fear,
he declared. I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a palace of stone and shimmering marble floors with beautiful windows, fountains and plants.
You want to make a withdrawal?
The manager asked.
You may have to wait a day or two.
Well, we can have 5,000 a week.
How quickly can we make a week pass?
Well, it skips forward after a few days, I think.
Yeah, go on then.
We can afford the days.
Yeah.
We require £5,000, I declared. The manager drew a sharp breath.
I will need to talk to the London branch to confirm, you understand?
He explained.
The funds will be ready in 5 working days.
My master shook hands on it, and we left the bank. So we need to come next Thursday for it. So I guess just stay in a hotel.
Yeah. Should we take a show in?
We had another 6 days to wait for our transfer of funds. So we made ourselves comfortable and waited, so that just skips forward through that.
Cool.
Brilliant. The wait, this was close to our deadline, was nerve-wracking. We woke...
We've got a fortnight left.
Ready to be at the bank as soon as it opened its doors.
Mind you, how long does the journey take?
Day 60, Monsieur Fogg murmured...
Day 60.
Oh, sorry.
Day 60.
Monsieur Fogg murmured it that night in his sleep.
And still some distance yet to travel.
Okay, let's skip forward times to 11. We go. There we go. Right. Collected our funds from the bank, and the manager wished us well.
Let's make sure we don't get mugged and robbed.
Can we go today? I think we can. We'll be in London. And it's, I think, one of the shorter recordings, actually.
Arrive Saturday.
Well, as long as this doesn't crash, we should be fine.
Oh, we're on an airship. Yeah, let's hope it doesn't crash.
If this crashes, we may be late. We left New York aboard the Henrietta, an old Confederate airship converted into a transatlantic mail carrier. We had reached London in 3 days, barring any unexpected delay.
Unexpected delay.
Was that a joke?
What? No.
You did a delay on my voice.
Did I?
Yeah, well, like your echo.
Oh. Sorry. Yeah, I get you now.
I thought you were being way cleverer than you actually are.
No, I'm just trying to think of what could be. Is that Black Rose going to turn up and scupper things?
Maybe. But she hasn't said anything to us about that last.
That's actually quite funny.
What?
That joke that I accidentally made.
Christ. The ocean tore along beneath us. I enjoyed talking to no one. There was nothing I needed to know. No one to charm, flatter or beguile into giving us aid. There was only the wind and the time, and we could control neither.
Passepartout,
My master demanded.
make us go faster if you would.
I don't think that's a good idea, but... yeah, fuck it. Let's make this interesting. I approached the captain. Faster, you say? It can be done.
Faster, you say?
I'm sorry.
It can be done, but it would destroy the engines.
We want no risk, no danger.
Then I promise you we will be in London in 2 more days.
Doesn't really matter.
Nah.
Can you imagine their look of surprise on their face?
He's getting a bit annoyed. He's gone back to 86.
The look of surprise on their face when they see us 10 days early.
Mmm.
On day 69, I believe, too. Possibly.
No.
Jeez. I'm sure Fogg looked out of the observation deck windows with perfect calm. There was no reason to be concerned. We were safely within our 80-day window. We could not wait to stride into the Reform Club and claim our prize.
What is the prize, by the way?
20,000 quid.
Ooh, cool.
Which was worth, like, millions back then.
Yeah.
I went for a walk along the deck to clear my head and turned a corner
And there she was.
to find myself face to face with the Black Rose herself.
Passepartout!
She declared.
You rogue, you and your master were too fast for me.
I jumped in alarm, but she only rolled her eyes.
I let you down, Passepartout. I failed. The artificer's secret, it was too secret for me to discover.
But you must keep trying, I declared.
Perhaps.
She turned to the rail.
To be quite honest, I'm not certain I shall. This was never a job to take on alone, and with you returned to London, I've rather lost my opportunity, wouldn't you say?
You should not give up hope, mademoiselle, I urged her. Unlimited wealth and the destruction of the Artificers Guild. They may still be yours, if you truly want them.
Oh, Passepartout, do you think so?
I am sure of it.
Perhaps you are right.
She shook her head.
It's funny, I've never worked with a partner before, and you weren't any good at all, really. But it was nice to think for a while that maybe not everything rested on my shoulders.
You are the most famous thief in Europe. You will rise again.
Perhaps. Perhaps it is time to settle and write a narrative of my adventures instead. Right now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about anything anymore.
It's not so bad.
Is it not? I wish I could believe that, Passepartout. I wish I could believe as you do.
She shook her head.
No, for now I am afraid I feel quite lost.
Come find me in London, I said. There was a moment of uncertain pause, and she nodded.
I will do,
She replied.
You and I, we have not worked our last together. Oh no.
I withdrew then, leaving her staring into space, planning this future we might share, and I returned to my cabin where I found I was shivering, no doubt from the cold air and the whistling winds. Great. Oh, we're closing in on London.
Why would you sail to Snowdon? Is that an airship as well?
I don't think so. It's slightly spoilers. It's to do with one of Jules Verne's other novels.
Oh, right, okay. Oh. Anything to do with, a rocket?
No.
No?
Tunnels.
Alright, okay.
Tunnel from Iceland.
Ah.
We tethered at the airship dock in Hyde Park and felt for the first time in 68 days the feel of English soil under our shoes. There was no sign of Mademoiselle Estelle anywhere to be as we headed away to find a cab. At long last we had returned to London and in good time to win the wager. So I guess we made it.
70 days.
I seized my master by the collar and threw him into one of the steam carriages idling on the banks of the Serpentine in Hyde Park.
There is no need for such unseemly haste, Passepartout.
My master noted, but I was a man possessed. The carriage barely shuddered into a steam-hissing stop before I dragged my master from his seat and up the steps to the imposing doors of the Reform Club. I released him only when we reached the great saloon where my master's erstwhile friends stood from their chairs, gaping in attitude of a great shock. Monsieur Fogg only straightened a little and said in his calm voice,
Gentlemen, here I am.
The room erupted into cheers. Where had this crowd come from? Had they followed us inside from the street? I had scarcely noted them. I realized as though a spell had suddenly broken that we had succeeded, and my master had won £20,000. With £4,000 we began, the debt built up from banks along the way and our remaining funds, it was a profit of over 10,000, hardly a meagre sum. My heart began to beat again, and I saw for the first time the grand interiors of the Reform Club, which had no doubt remained untouched since its founding of some 30 odd years ago. The most advanced piece of technology within was a gilded clock set upon the mantelpiece. A few club members were muttering about the impropriety of alighting in the front do you mind of the club from a steam carriage. I pushed my way through to Monsieur Fogg, who had nearly been swallowed by congratulatory crowds. "You have won the bet, Monsieur," I told him. I seized my master's hand and shook it, as though we were two equals and not merely a master and servant. Monsieur Fogg pressed my hand warmly, and did not remark even once upon the impropriety of my gesture. Indeed, though his cool gaze did not so much as waver or soften, I believed he welcomed the chance to shake my hand.
"Any gentleman would be fortunate to call you his valet, and you have been a worthy companion to me besides,"
Monsieur Fogg said, and I knew that from him there could be no higher praise.
"Mr. Fogg! Mr. Fogg!"
one of the journalists in the crowd cried, interrupting our conversation.
"What next for the great adventure of Phileas Fogg and his loyal valet Passepartout?"
My master looked at me.
"We shall undertake the most perilous journey of all,"
I announced.
"We shall discover the South Pole."
Wait, it says I announced. Oh well.
Oh, sorry.
It doesn't matter. I looked around at faces of the assembled crowd as he spoke, and that might be a typo. And for a moment, my gaze settled on a figure with flashing eyes gathered at the back of the crowd. She held my eyes for a moment, then nodded towards the side door and slipped through it. My breath came in short bursts.
I'm thinking
I
maybe...
think that's Estelle. Black Rose.
Oh, right, okay. I'm just thinking maybe because he's kind of shook Passepartout's hand as an equal. He's maybe, when he says my master looked at me, maybe he's giving Passepartout the opportunity to choose what they're going to do next as an equal rather than a valet.
I don't know. But it says he spoke here, so...
Oh, right, okay. Fair enough.
Monsieur Frog refrained from rolling his eyes.
Monsieur Frog. Ribbit.
Monsieur Fogg refrained from rolling his eyes.
Say you're the French one.
Is you next?
Oh, sorry. I believe,
He said with great deliberation,
that tonight I will have supper and go to bed. Come, Passepartout, it grows late.
He left one way and I another, following my rose into the dark.
As you do.
Journey completed in 68 days despite the attentions of the notorious speakers of the Black Rose, arrest in Vladivostok, and American train robbers.
Wow. Aren't we astonishingly amazing?
Yes, we are. And with that concludes our journey around the world. I felt very weird then.
Good. You sounded it.
Look at that. Got an amazing journey.
It looks like you could have like massive amounts of exploration in this game.
Yeah.
As long as you don't... presumably if you don't get back within the 80 days, you just don't win the bet, but you can still do all...
I've gotten back in over 100 days before
Yeah.
and it still continued.
Yeah. So there's
As
a
I
lot of
spin this
exploring to
globe.
do, presumably.
So with one massive journey comes another, because guess what? Next time there would be a Dad vs. World would be our 100th video. So we are doing something very special for that.
We are centenarians. Centividarians.
We are going on a road trip across Europe in Euro Truck Simulator 2.
Woo!
As I'm sure everyone is thrilled about.
I think I might drink.
Yeah, well, I can't because I'll be driving the whole way, but...
It's not real though, is it? It's a simulator.
Yeah, but it might actually affect my driving now.
I suppose. Are you driving the whole way? You can't just put it on autopilot, no?
Well, you can cruise speed, but you can't cruise steer.
Okay.
So you can't exactly autopilot, you still have to steer the whole way. And slow down when the speed limit goes, because you get fined if you're there for like a couple of minutes.
That'll be like...
Even just a couple of miles above the speed limit, you'll get fined, so...
That'll be like a family road trip, but you'll be doing the driving this time.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll have loads of stuff to talk about when that happens.
Yeah. It's going to be a
Till
combined one.
next time, I've been Firebolt.
And I've been the Orbiter.
Thanks for watching. We'd really appreciate if you support us on various things, obviously subscribing on YouTube, Twitch, following us on Twitter or Facebook. We have a Discord server that you can join and talk to us and other people, and a website where you can check out blog posts.
And obviously this isn't free for us to run, so if you'd like to support us financially, we have a Patreon page where you can donate monthly and get subscriber rewards. We also have a Stream Elements tipping page where you can make one-off donations. The links are all in the description.
Farewell.
See you next time. Oh, knackered. Shall we get some pizza?
Yeah.